Regular Trail, and I'm here today to try to teach you how to locate that big gobbler. So here it is, we're getting close, it's getting really close to turkey time here in Missouri. It's late March and the turkeys are already starting to gobble a little bit. But people always ask me, well, what's the best thing to use to be able to locate a bird early in the morning? And probably the standard call that most people use early in the morning is the hoot owl. The first thing you'll hear in early April is the old hoot owl. And the old hoot owl sounds something like this. And I do that with my mouth, but they do make calls that you can use to make that same hoot owl sound, and they work great. But my dad taught me at a young age how to hoot with my mouth, and I've been using that ever since. That's my favorite to use because I don't need any tools to carry along with me to be able to make that sound. That's a real good early morning turkey locator. And you can, a lot of times when you hoot, another hoot owl will answer you, and he'll kind of start a conversation with you, and at the same time you'll get turkeys to gobble. It happens all the time. I've called several hoot owls in by just using that. And you know, if you don't get a gobbler to gobble on the first time you hoot, you might want to get a little bit more excited. I do something like this. And that usually gets the old gobbler to gobble a time or two. Another call that is good to use, and a lot of people use this early in the morning, and it's very good mid-afternoon shock caller, and that's the crow. You can go pick up a crow call at, I think every Walmart's got a crow call now during turkey season time. So you can go to Walmart, get you a crow call, and like I said, you'll always hear crows early in the morning after they come off the roost, and they're talking back and forth to each other. And they also are a gobbler's enemy, just as a hoot owl, and that's what causes the gobble out of the turkey. So let's hear what the crow call sounds like, and this is what you should try to do when you try to get a turkey to gobble back to you. That's my old standard, but there's different kinds of sounds that a crow does make. They just make the old one long squawk. But I like the old. And that usually gets an old gobbler, especially in the midday, to start answering to that. It's just a basic shot call. People ask me, well, when's the best time to try to locate a bird? And I say, well, one of the best times to try to locate a bird is the night before you're going to hunt that bird. Sometimes you don't want to get in there too close to the old bird because you don't want to bump him off of his roosting location. So what I do, sometimes in the evenings I've noticed that to a hoot owl, a gobbler won't gobble. To a crow, a gobbler won't gobble. But it seems like if I take a coyote call and howl at them, they usually will at least gobble one time, and that may be the key for you to get in on that bird. So one thing that I'd say, if you're going to use a coyote howler, don't howl too long. And the reason is if you're howling long, that old gobbler's probably going to be gobbling as you're howling, and you're not going to be able to locate him. So what I like to try to do is just something like this. And usually that old gobbler will gobble. Any standard coyote call will work. Any coyote howler. Just try not to do real long howls. I'll demonstrate a long howl, what I consider a long howl. That may be too long for what you're doing. you're doing that, that old gobbler's probably gobbled twice and you won't be able to hear it. Another thing you may want to do is to bring somebody with you to help you locate that bird. Because a lot of times if you're blowing on something, you can't exactly pinpoint where that gobbler's coming from. So if you can get a guy, have him stand about 20 feet off to your side or whatever, and tell him to listen while you're blowing the call, and then see if that doesn't work. That doesn't get you to a better pinpoint position on that gobbler. A lot of times if you're going out late of an evening to listen for a gobbler, sometimes I don't even take a call with me. I'll just sit out there and listen and let nature take its course, per se. I let the gobblers talk, you know, and usually an old gobbler, once he gets up on the roost, he'll gobble once, maybe twice. You know, if it's decent weather and it's nice and warm and blue skies. You know, and early in the mornings, a lot of times I just let what I call the woods wake up themselves. I don't sit out there and blow a lot of locator calls. You know, I may do a hoot owl first thing in the morning, and if I don't get an answer, I kind of wait for the crows to kind of take over. And that way, every time you make a noise in the woods, that gobbler could potentially pick you up. He could be looking that direction when you're making that noise, when you're making that hoot owl, when you're making that crow call, when you're making that coyote call. That gobbler could potentially be looking your way, and then if he sees movement, you're done. You're busted, and that hunt's over with. So a lot of times I just let the woods wake up themselves. But for this video, I was just kind of wanting to show you some locator calls that you could use to make you a more successful turkey hunter. That's what I'm all about, just teaching people how to be a better turkey hunter. So I hope these tips have helped you out, and I hope you get close to that big blowed up gobbler. Good luck and good hunting. See you later.